Let's receive Leonardo Morais, the President of the National Telecommunications Agency, Anatel.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I'm very pleased to be part of this debate, and I shall begin expressing my gratitude for this kind invitation. I think meetings like this are extremely helpful to tackle challenges associated to the improvement also of the regulatory approach or the regulatory framework to the pace of this ongoing digital transformation, which is characterized by a data-driven approach. So the challenges are many, and in many aspects much more complex than they used to be. And that's why this debate is so important. And I think if 4G changed lives, I'm sure that 5G will reshape the society. So, I don't know if I have... So let me put in a short perspective, in a context, some of the challenge that telecommunication sector is facing. The thing is, the demand for data not only grows and transforms, but it also imposes severe implications over sectors' infrastructure. And not only because of the number of internet users grows, but also due to the increasing data consumption pushed by behavioral change and connected devices. So this effect is very clear. So more capacity is required, increasing sensitivity to latency. Cybersecurity issues gain more and more relevance, and spectrum allocation efficiency is more and more critical. So new standards are required. For example, the IPv4 address have been exhausted, which has completed the movement process to IPv6. And all in this context, I think we observe a very brief summary in the following that picture. On one hand, we have noticed a decreasing margin EBITDA of operators. If not decreasing, maybe they're saving more costs, so now they're more stable. This is one hand. And on the other hand, what we see is a data traffic that grows exponentially. And the revenue of the operators do not grow at the same pace. So if you combine more capex needed and margin EBITDA stable, mathematically, this means lower return on investment, right? So what have been the, wow, 5 minutes, just began. What have been the traditional answer for this contest? Consolidation, especially horizontal consolidation in the same layer of the chain value. The second answer now we are seeing is like a vertical integration. So you can combine economies of scale, scope, for example, and maybe AT&T and Time Warner movement in the United States are a clear picture of this second answer for this contest. And maybe a third answer for these challenges, I think, is the perspectives that comes with the Internet of Things and with the possibility that comes with 5G. So let me go a little bit quicker. I don't think this is just numbers of Brazilians telecommunication sector market. We still have 40 million fixed lines, about 30 million fixed broadband access, and more than 236 million mobile access with fourth generation LTE technology representing 53% of those access. But I mean, this is not, I'll pass very quickly in considering our time, But I think what is important to have in mind is that different realities require different remedies. So it's important, it's particularly important to countries as Brazil to have the kind and the very clear picture and idea that there is no representative Brazil, there's no average Brazil. So many times the regulatory burden and even spectrum management, for instance, may be different considering these different realities of competition. So one important aspect in considering these different aspects of Brazil, I think, and for this 5G environment to be fostered in Brazil, we have to talk a lot about infrastructure sharing. Usually Brazil operators, Brazilian, have always competed in terms of coverage. Nevertheless, gradually, Brazil has experienced some spectrum sharing with the operators. Actually, being capital intensive, I believe that the market should pursue solutions that rationalize both CapEx and OpEx. So infrastructure sharing further than a regulatory orientation is a reality imposed by the own market, right? So taking that in account, I don't believe that it's quite necessary to talk about this slide, because many people used to present this slide is not something very new. Just to say that much more that what came with the transition for third generation technology to fourth generation technology, when you saw more throughput data, this is much more than that. I mean, all the possibility that comes with IoT, being IoT massive or IoT for critical applications, as mentioned by Secretary Maximiliano before, I mean, brings another perspective to this new kind of technology. But the thing is, infrastructure here is the core of the challenge related to foster 5G, and knowing that the market us to conclude that big challenge requires many solutions. I think this is one of my main messages here. Taking that into account, it's not important to remember the message related to technology neutrality, not because it's politically correct to state that, especially when you are a regulator, right? But it comes that the understanding that this big challenge require many solutions. So I have been thinking about that. Maximiliano just mentioned that the government launched the e-digital strategy, and all of this is very nice. I mean, of course, we should pursue a digital strategy, but you have to be in mind that there is no strategy, or there is no, better saying, digital implementation if we don't have connectivity. And if we don't have connectivity, to have connectivity, better saying, we need telecommunications infrastructure. So this is the main line. I mean, this should be the main goal to effectively to promote and to give concretude to a digital strategy, right? And that depends a lot on wireless fixed satellite service technologies, for example, and fiber. And also it depends, as I said, on sharing infrastructure, otherwise it won't not happen, right? So the current discussions about spectrum allocation in Brazil deals with the coexistence between IMT 2020 and FSS, fixed satellite services that operates in the C-band extents. Just have it clear, we have 200 megahertz available in 3.5 gigahertz, and we have also 100 megahertz available in 2.3 gigahertz band. Still have a leftover of 10 plus 10 megahertz band in the 700 megahertz band. So we have these frequencies, these assets, spectrum assets, but as we know, the 3.5 will be the opening door for 5G in Brazil. So we are doing the tests of coexistence between IMT 2020 and FSS. I believe we will conclude the field tests in the first quarter of the next year at most. And then we'll be ready to start to design the auction that shall happen at the end of 2019 or at the most in the beginning of 2020. And I think that we're going to be pace by pace with the other countries that are already discussing that. And I shall say that in the field tests which are being realized, being done here in Rio de Janeiro, in Fundão, the university, with the central technological reference of one of our operators, Claro, we have already installed field operation, a standalone 5G pattern. So this is quite nice to get to know if some of you have interest during this week. So really quickly, from an industrial age economy, we enter in a computer, internet, mobile, broadband driving economy. It's very complex, right? Technology in this graph means that digital flows combined with the DAW of the cognitive area of computing. Someone said that when connectivity is ubiquitous and complexity is free, the world gets really fast, right? And that's why this is an exponential curve. So we shall ask, since the technology forces driving this change are not likely to slow down, I mean, Moore's law talks by itself, right? So how we adapt? So I think that that's the main question for us as regulators, how to adapt regulatory tools, how to enhance our ability to adapt as institutions and as people. So that's why we're doing Anatel right now. We are revising all the main regulatory framework. We are revising spectrum caps and spectrum management ways of doing, because we know that to foster this ecosystem is also necessary to have a new mindset in terms of regulatory approach. So I had more things to say, but I am out of time. I want to be very welcome in Brazil. I want to thank you for being here. And I think by doing so and by fostering 5G, I'm confident that we shall not only contribute to connectivity, but further than that, 5G shall give a contribution to many of the sustainable development goals. And thanks a lot for your attention.